All right, on this episode of Bouts Talking Bouts, happy to be having on a guest who has a big fight coming up at Dekada Contender, which goes September 28th. Deerfoot Inn and Casino is where that's happening. Diana Gonzalez is going to be taking on Kandi Wyatt, and I've got Kandi on the show today. How's your day going so far there, Kandi?
Pretty good, thanks.
Yeah, and I mean, I gotta, just ask about like what your assessment of your opponent is here and stuff like that, and obviously the fact that you're heading back to like a familiar venue, I imagine, feels pretty good. But what's your read on the skill set Gonzalez brings to the table for this one?
I actually don't have a ton of information about her. I'm really just going into this fight as she's going to be a tough opponent, and I'm expecting her to be skilled, and just so that I don't underestimate her, and I expect her to put up a hell of a fight.
Yeah, and it's going to be a good one for sure. And, coming off of the last fight and everything like that, albeit, not the outcome you wanted, but that was, very much a big stage with, a WBO World Championship being up for grabs and stuff like that. What was, I guess, like the big takeaway and learning experience from that last fight of yours?
The biggest takeaway from Greece was actually that I just need to calm my mind down a little bit when I'm in the ring. Everything in that fight was moving very fast. My hands were moving fast. My mind was racing. So that was really one of the biggest takeaways, is that I need to work on just being a little bit more patient while still being a pressure aggressive style of fighter. Just got to calm my brain down a little bit and just remember that I do have 10 whole rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that being the first blemish on the pro record, is there anything unique that you learned from a loss as compared to the lessons you take away from a victory? Or is each bout kind of something that, instills its own lessons?
Actually, from the loss we had in Greece, one of the biggest things we did learn is that my team and I, we belong in that world class circuit. Everything leading up to the end result of that fight, that was a competitive, tough, close fight, and it just ended with me getting caught with a well-timed shot that rattled my cage a little bit too hard, and I couldn't come back from it. But everything leading up to that, we were confident, we were competing. The scorecards probably would have reflected that it was a close fight. So the biggest thing that we did learn from that loss, even though it was a loss, was that we belong on that world-class stage and we're not out of our league. So that was really reassuring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a similar sentiment of that and everything. So, I mean, it must have been good to, represent Calgary in a big way, but also it seemed like you were representing like in just like a history making kind of a fashion too. I mean, the fact that there was like a title fight in Greece and everything like that. How much pride do you take in, I guess, legacy moves like that, just being like the first to be able to do something and have that distinction?
It was pretty cool. It was fun to tell everybody that I got to be one of the first females to fight for a world title in Greece, and it was actually like the first world title in Greece ever, and it was a female fight. It was really fun to tell people that and just kind of watch their reaction, like their eyebrows go up, and they're like, "Oh, that's really cool." So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and I mean, getting to travel and stuff like that. Did you get in some cool kind of like traveling experiences? Like, were you there for like a bit of time beyond just the actual timeline of like fight week obligations, or was it kind of just like right back to Canada sort of deal?
Yeah, it was right back to Canada. We were in Greece for 5 days. It doesn't really bother me too much. I've traveled with boxing before, and when I travel for boxing, I'm there to do a job. I wasn't in Athens on vacation. We flew in on Wednesday night and we flew home Monday morning, and I kind of prefer it that way. Just show up, do your job, go home. It's a different mindset, even though you're traveling to somewhere foreign, somewhere exotic. But when you're there to do a job, it's a completely different mindset than if you're there for vacation and there to relax.
Yeah, no, for sure. I absolutely get that feeling, no doubt. But it seems like a lot of people are like, rallying behind you and everything like that. You still have got like that real good, fan base and support group and everything like that. Like I was seeing the post when you were at Caden's Coffee there, and you got that like pretty thoughtful gift from some regular customers and everything like that, and like the coworkers were getting in on it and stuff like that. So how cool is it to have something like that? I imagine it's like an invaluable sort of thing that you can't really like quantify in any kind of way. Like it must be a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's difficult to even put into words of the amount of support I get coming out of this tiny little locally owned coffee shop, hidden gem in Bowness, like with my coworkers and customers and my boss, everybody that's involved with Cadence. It's like they're a brick wall of support, and it's unbelievable to know that I have that many people rallying behind me, and it's a big confidence boost for sure.
Yeah, and I imagine a confidence boost probably comes from having like a certain like representation with on like the management end of things. And to that point, I noticed you announced a multi-year management contract with Team Empire Boxing. How did that deal all come about, and when did the dialogue kind of get going on for starting that deal there?
Well, Brian Cohen and we've kind of known who each other are just kind of throughout the industry for the last couple of years, but it actually kind of all came to light after Greece, where we were in contact with each other after Greece. He was really happy and impressed with the way I performed in Greece, and he just flat out asked me, he's like, do you need a manager? Because if you need one, I'm willing to work with you, but I want you to take it back to your team and talk about it, and if you guys want to do it, let's do it. So I went back and chatted with my coaches about it, and we all thought it was a really good idea. We all get a good vibe from Brian. He seems like a really nice guy. And we signed a contract, and now we're happy to be working with him, happy to be part of the team.
Yeah, I guess you need that sort of confluence in the sense of like you see the person being able to afford you cool professional opportunities, but there has to be some level of like camaraderie or like a back and forth with them where you're comfortable. So that's cool. It sounds like you have best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it is a business relationship, but it does help when you also like and enjoy the people that you're doing business with. So I think it's gonna be a good partnership between the two of us.
Yeah, for sure. And like that good partnership extends to having quality sparring partners too. And I noticed in past you've had, Jessica Sparrow as a sparring partner and everything like that. Who are you really putting in that work with ahead of this fight here that you have coming up?
I've been putting in a lot of work with Jessica Sparrow again. She's been helping out, and Roger Redobel, he's a coach at the Calgary Boxing Club as well, and kind of always helps out with sparring and whatnot. And Tristan Ewanen. Those have kind of been my three main partners for this camp.
And I'm kind of curious, like with the end of the year coming up relatively soon and everything like that, are you looking to potentially get in one last fight in the calendar year after this one, not overlooking your opponent obviously, or would you more so be looking towards like a 2020 kind of bout as like the next time you're getting out there?
No, I would love to get in one more fight before the end of the year before we swing into 2020. I know Dekada's going to be having another card on November 23rd, so hopefully I can get on that one, and if something else comes up elsewhere, albeit in the States or another global fight, if it makes sense, we'll take it. But yeah, I would love to get this fight September 28th, and then one more fight coming up before the end of the year. That'd be nice.
Yeah, and one of the times that we spoke, like when I had you on the show before your September 2018 fight, you were talking about the benefit of training with amateur fighters. Are you training with, some amateur fighters as well? And I guess like as an extension of that question, how invaluable was, that benefit or that experience rather on the amateur circuit for like refining your skills and just being like a, very technical boxer nowadays as a pro?
Working with amateurs is like really we all benefit each other at the gym getting in work. I don't look at my sparring partners and be like, okay, well, they're just amateur. Be like, no, they each have their own specific strengths and weaknesses that even though they're amateur fighters, those strengths and weaknesses can still translate into a pro fighter. So if I'm sparring with them and then I come across an opponent who I recognize that they have similar strengths or weaknesses than my sparring partners, even though they're amateur, it still benefits me. So
Yeah, for sure. I was talking about it in the sense of like I imagine it would be not that you need motivation necessarily, but you see these like amateur fighters who like their strength of schedule, they always seem to be getting out there and doing it. Like maybe it's like an additional kind of like motivation or something like that, or it creates like a certain energy in the gym that's beneficial to everybody, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like I said, we all just help each other, right? So even though my amateur teammates, yeah, their schedule is a little bit busier, the more sparring and the more technical work they get with other teammates, the more it benefits them as well. So I really, the more I just think the more we have like to focus on, the more fights we have to focus on, the better energy there is in the gym when we're all training for some sort of competition, whether we're amateur or pro.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I just wanted to clarify because I definitely didn't mean like amateur in terms of like a reflection of skill or anything like that. But in terms of like
Oh, no,
support,
no.
yeah, for sure. But I mean, in terms of like supporting people, like it seems like you very much use your platform for that as well. Like I thought you had a cool post where you said this is a reminder that the Kandi Wyatt camp is fighting for the rights of all people, and then with Pride being in Calgary and everything like that, just being an ally to the LGBTQ community and everything like that. How important is it for you to be able to use your platform and profile to, advocate for certain things like that and shine light on certain things you're passionate about?
I mean, if social media is the platform right now to do it, I'm totally all for it. I mean, something like that is it's it's pretty simple. Like if somebody wants to box, that's it. If somebody wants, no matter what somebody wants to do, their like their sexuality or sexual orientation doesn't really have anything to do with it. If they want to do it, go out and do it, and nobody should be denied that. So if me using social media can kind of help shine light on any issues about something like that and maybe help prevent somebody being denied from trying something they want to try because of their sexual orientation, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I find it wild that like people even have to like advocate for stuff like that nowadays. You feel like there'd be that like equality and equity nowadays, but unfortunately that, still doesn't seem to be the case. But I thought it was cool that you did that shout out for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, and I thought that was pretty interesting, no doubt. But I also remember from the last time we talked, you were talking about how you trained to the Rocky theme song every day. Is that still part of the regular routine?
Yep, yep, every day.
And imagine the country.
Like we get some new. We've had some new members come into the club, and you kind of see the look on their faces by day 3, and they're like, "We're listening to this again." I'm like, yeah, every day. Get used to it.
You're mixing in some country tunes in there too, though, because I seem to remember from seeing some of your past Dekada fights, you'd usually have like a pretty cool country song when you were coming out. So is that getting in the mix there too?
No, it's Rocky theme song, and then it's been actually kind of a lot of like new age rap, I think, or we throw on some like '90s hip hop. So like that country music, like my walkout song is country music, and I like it. It gets me pumped up, but really working out to country music, it doesn't get you fired up that much. There's a lot more like slow love songs in country than any other genre of music I've found.
You're not getting in those tough workouts to some Trisha Yearwood, is what you're saying? You're getting fired up to that?
No, yeah, we don't have any Trisha Yearwood or like Faith Hill blaring at the gym.
But you've been really great with your time, though. I'm curious if there's maybe anything you want to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up here. Maybe some shout outs to some of your really dedicated sponsors that you have, or just if you have any kind of like parting thought.
Yeah, I'll do a shout out to sponsors for sure. I have a lot of support coming from everybody. So biggest one, or I guess first one, I'll shout out to Edwards Garage in my hometown. They're a car dealership. They've supported me for a lot of like my amateur career and my professional career as well. D&T Plumbing, Real Boxing Gloves, Active Mobility Physiotherapy, and Cadence Coffee. The support you guys have given me throughout the years is like so invaluable to me, and I really appreciate it. So I just wanted to say thanks.
Yeah, no, some great shout outs there for sure. And just, leading up to a big fight here and everything like that, sponsors very key. And people should be checking out Dekada Contender September 28th. Deerfoot Inn and Casino is where that's going on. Diana Gonzalez going to be taking on Kandi Wyatt. And just, again, really appreciate the time and insights there, Kandi. Best of luck with the rest of your preparations and hope you have a good rest of your day too.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dylan.